Roland, would you lead us in the pledge?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, Mary, would you please call the roll?
Ronald Polly,
Here.
Mitch Dow,
Here.
Roland Carroll,
Join the meeting.
Roland Guidry,
Here.
Brian Martz,
Here.
McNeely Rowe,
Here.
Keith Guidry,
Here.
Monty Vegas,
Here.
and now Brett DeRoche.
Here.
We have a quorum. We've been presented with the minutes of the meeting of February the 8th, and correct corrections, deletions, or additions. I get my eyes fixed, my mouth goes up. Onto those minutes as presented. Moved by Roland, second by Mac. Any discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Mr. Representative, you have a presentation to make?
I would just like to quickly see, with the passing of Mr. Bob Falk, who was presented to make a nomination. And after 5 great candidates came up and doing the interviews, nominated Mr. Brett DeRoche, and after the governor's consideration, he obviously instilled him here and he got sworn in. I was happy to be part of the process, and hopefully he could serve this full board for quite some time in an admirable way. So I appreciate you stepping up to the challenge. Thank you.
Anything else you want to talk to us about, Joe?
I got another meeting at Nichols at 4:30, and I needed to go, but I'm gonna get on the Zoom call, and I wanted to hear, I looked at the agenda, and I just wanted to hear the Windows report.
I know you're a new representative, but boy, you got some pull, huh? Good boy, it said, what, 2 weeks? It's taken a year with them, Brian.
I think once they got with Brian, once they got the crank turning, they wanted to keep the momentum up, is what I remember hearing.
Thank you for getting it done.
Very welcome, very welcome. All right, I'm gonna excuse myself, and I'll be online in a minute, take care of the rest of it. Thank you all very much.
Grant, welcome to the board. We look forward to working with you. If you have any questions, I don't know if you made a tour of the levee yet.
Yes, sir.
Whatever you need, Doug, contact Wendell, and contact me. We'll do whatever needs to be there for you. Okay, good. Moving forward, we had a meeting of the ALBL, the Executive Committee meeting of the State Association, Friday a week ago. And, we usually have our work session in May, beginning of May. And we didn't have it last year, and there was some discussion whether we'd have it this year or not, and a decision has not been reached yet. We may have some modified version of it will turn out, but it won't be full-fledged like it used to be in the past, until this COVID business is over with. But that was the determination made at the last meeting. So keep informed of this, we'll inform you. Okay, anybody from the audience comments? Daniel? This Daniel.
No, I just want to say that I'm on the road to recovery, and I want to thank everybody who said prayers for me. And I'm going to leave it with this. I'm back.
You know, you don't know Daniel had colon prostate cancer.
Prostate, yeah. But I'll tell you the whole deal. When I went back to the doctor, they took 21 lymph nodes out, and I had a hernia. Everything was negative, everything around the prostate, so I don't have to take any treatments. And I go back to the doctor May 26th. And it was done at Tulane. I went to Thibodeau, do everything there, but then they transferred me to Tulane. And there's quite a few people from the Bay that go to Tulane.
Well, I wish you the best of luck.
Okay, man, thank you. I know you went through a battle also, so.
Yeah, I went through 2 years of this stuff, so it gets you after long.
Right.
Okay, general manager report. Wendell?
Slide presentation.
Start with the first one.
Come on. Nice work. With the beginning picture? Yeah. We usually put one of our pictures on there, but Dave McNamara sent me that. That's a shot in Lake Hermitage. I believe that's I think that's in Blackman Parish.
There it is.
It is.
I've been there, so I used to drive there.
So took this beautiful picture, and once in a while, it's nice to look at something really nice around the neighborhood. But that's a big number.
I think that's Lake Judge Perez now. They changed the name.
Yeah. A beautiful shot of a nightlight store. You're gonna have to do it. It's not so much. Okay, starting off with the work that's being done at the Golden Meadow Pump Station wall. If you note, here's the 4-lane highway, here's the Golden Meadow Bridge, the junior high pump station. And again, that's this wall. It started off out on an 11-foot wall, and the Corps brought it up to about 13. We asked them to go to 16. And right now, we're finally building it up to 17, which is close to what the levees are right now. Okay, just a different angle, we're looking northeast, we're southeast of the structure. You can see the grade being added on, that's bringing it up to 17 feet. Okay, excellent. And then that's looking out, and the top part of that picture, almost the whole thing is the new Catfish Lake. I mean, Catfish Lake is just blowing out of its borders, and you see there's not a lot between Catfish Lake now and the edge of the levee. But I think it's important that we try to keep whatever we can of the spoil banks between the lake and the levee, because it's going to help break that early wave action and slow down some of the energy getting to the pump station. Of course, and to the wall itself that we put together. Here's the work that we're doing in Sea South. That's the northern part of Sea South, where it's connected. Did you?
Yeah, my fingers slip.
This is kind of the northern end as you get near Apache Farm. And you can see they're digging the material right near the bank, tossing it to the next machine, which is over. The third one puts it on the edge of the levee, and then this next time. And this is on the southern end. You can see that machine is actually putting it on top of the levee, and that's bringing it up to 18 feet. And that's the area from pump station number 1 that was contract all the way to Apache Farm. But we've been doing 10 miles on the west side, and we've raised from behind the park in Golden Meadow all the way to the Apache Farm to a plus 18-foot elevation was our goal, and we're getting almost to that point. Right? And just so happens at the same time, terraces are being built just on the outside of there. That's again ConocoPhillips, Ducks Unlimited, the parish, CPRA. We at one time, some of these projects, we put some money in for these terracing, but the terracing again is going to be very effective. It's helping to protect the toe of the levee by breaking down there with the wave action. All right. And then here, that's the area near pump station number 1. The excavator is placing the dirt on top of the levee and bringing it to 18 feet. All right. Again, just a different angle, same amount of width. And this should be done by the middle of hurricane season. Should have everything up on there. Okay. Now this is the project that's going on at Floodgate called E-North. That's the pit that we're digging out of. We are getting this built at a lot less money than the grant that we got from Bull Mesa in allowing us. So we are anticipating going all the way instead of just the Superior Dock. Go with next one. Okay, that's looking north at the intersection of E-South and E-North. That's the form going to the east, and that's the levee we're working on right now, mostly to get that done. That's again, water line all the way to the top of the levee, and we're getting it back up to over 13 feet. Dropped below. At 13 feet is important because that's the level that the flood insurance program, it's important to stop the flood protection, to stop the flooding from the storm surge, but it's also important to keep our insurance rates of the preferred risk that we have right now. And that's on the inside, the dirt's being shrugged there, and our excavator is moving it up to the top, and that top right now is over 13 feet.
And if you look Superior Canal and Superior Dock is in the southern part of the system, that's where the original contract was to go there, because that was the most at risk. But because the bid was low, we think we can go all the way to the top corner on the right, where the parish boat launch is located. So we're talking to the landowner to allow us to make the borrow pit a lot larger than it is. And if they give us permission, then we can easily move forward and get the top of the levee, again, over 13 feet all the way to that corner. The computer model shows a tremendous drop. Once you get past that corner, you see a big drop on the northern part of the form. It doesn't have to be as high as the other two because of the way it's set up with the water and the approach and attack that the water might make. So we're working on that again. It's very good for flooding and good for keeping our flood insurance at the rates that we have right now. Okay. This is the boat launch in Golden Meadow. Again, we raised it, brought it up to near 18 feet, and did a good job of putting the material that it's a different type of material where it was kind of cut. So the limestone is staying real good. It's not getting too much wear and tear. It's working out well. But it used to be blacktop, and we kind of said we'll get it back in shape for people to use it. And we've been talking to Daniel in the parish and to see that Daniel was able to get some money from actually Congress to pave it the first time. And so we're talking to him in the parish about seeing if they can come back and put the asphalt on the top of it and get it super nice. But it's working out real good right now. So that extra material, that kind of cut material that you put underneath, it's holding up real good and working real well. All right, and that's from the inside out, and that's the view of the whole job. And we started trucking on the area between Delta Farms and Clover Farms. That area had dropped a little low, and so we're bringing it back above 13 feet. And that's some work over the Discovery Pipeline. This is on the Morganza project, section K. That's the part that leaves Watershed and goes all the way to the new Grand Bayou Floodgate. And that levee is coming up really well. Certainly it's a levee. We just put a lot of dirt that we had over 1.6 million cubic yards to start off of our little mitigation levee. And in some places on the levee there's extra material, in other places it's lower. And so what's going on is they're trucking it with these track trucks from the area that there's excess material and bringing it to where the system is low. Continue working and hopefully get a consistent 9 to 10 foot out of the whole area on section K, leading to the floodgate that's being constructed. All right. And also we lost some material for hurricane. Which one was it? I think it was Barry.
Yeah.
Barry, right? And so FEMA was willing to replace it, but we had to design a job where the dirt would be trucked into the boat launch near LA 24, then loaded onto a barge, and then loaded off of the barge. Because there was no easy way to get the material to that part of the levee. Makes it expensive, but FEMA was willing to pay, they went, I forget how many cubic yards. How many cubic yards was that?
55,000.
55,000, yeah. And that's being brought in the lowest area. And part of that 55 is being brought by truck to the southern end and then truck to that part. But this part, you have to go by barge. Makes it a lot more expensive, but that was the only way to get the dirt in that location. All right? Okay. And then there's the water control structures that are part of our mitigation and have to be part of section or reach K right now. And that's a little low. There'll be some work on that, those parts to get that elevation up to the 9-10 foot elevation. But the system, the mitigation system has worked out real well. And this is section K turning into a real levee. I mean, it was a bunch of dirt. They had to work with the dirt a lot to get it to this point where it's dry enough to shape and form, and tremendous progress. at a reasonably low cost, considering you're digging in a borrow canal, having to move that material hundreds of feet. Some of this dirt is in place for only something like 3,000 cubic yards. The most expensive is, of course, what's happening with that barge that they're bringing, the excavator. But most of it is probably being put in place under 6,000 cubic yards. All right. Yeah, let's look in the opposite direction, good progress. And then this is the Grand Bayou Floodgate. It's different from our second gate. This is the barge, and disconnect a hinge that lets it come into place, and then you sink the barge. It's being constructed in Morgan City. Okay. And again, it's the width is how much? 250 feet?
147.
147. Okay. Big barge, using some things they learned through the years working with barges in Terrebonne. These holes that help let the barge float into place and out of place when you have differential water elevations. Let the water go through. Again, it floats into place, you sink it, and it protects, and then you lift it up and get it out. But this is the most important thing that I keep asking Laura is, when is it going to be able to start protecting people from flooding? And even if it's not totally finished, the barge will be there, sitting there, and they can put it in place and be ready for the heart of this hurricane season. So that's tremendous news for people. There'll still be an open edge between the barge and Apache Farm, okay? But you plug in the hole that the most efficiency in getting that water off to flood people is now going to be blocked. So it's a big step forward in getting the system put together, All right. And there's for the air, I see a kind of a dugout area to the right. Well, that's when the temporary barge was in there, they needed a bypass channel. So they're looking for some FEMA money to help fill up that hole and pay for that. And then you see to the right, the levee is on, as you see on the left side of the picture coming up from Pointe. The barge goes across for the protection, and then the levee continues north until it intersects the L, which is coming from the Apache Farm. And here's some of the ground shots of the receiving structure. And using a lot of technology that's been used for years in the oil field to support that structure. There's some batter piles going in. All right. Any questions about the slides? Oh, in your package, you'll find the proposed budget for this year. And what we do is we put this budget early before the fiscal year starts. And we will adjust it and amend it as we go through the year before we get to the, turn it in to the state as a final budget. But we need a vote to approve this proposed budget.
Okay, you've read the recommendation by General Manager to approve the budget for the fiscal year ending June 22. Your wishes, gentlemen. Moved by Morris, second by Mack. Any discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no.
All right. And again, if you look at the budget, we'll continue discussing it all the way till we put it in place, and then when we finally end the year, we'll do some adjustments on that budget. Centerline survey. It's actually the most important piece of work that we do. As we all know, elevation, the salvation, inundation. Right? You can have a lot of 15-foot levee, but if you got a place that's only 5 feet high, you only have a 5-foot levee. That's what your protection is, 5 feet. So it's important to see exactly what the height of the levee is. And every year we go through it. And Joe tells me that we have the new centerline survey, right, Joe?
Yes.
So he just didn't bring it. But we'll have it on next time. But we had a question from Brian this afternoon, about, how much subsidence. Well, what we do is we do the center line, and on the next year's centerline survey, we leave the old center line, and then show the new one. So you can see where we build up, and you see where it says, if we just completed the levee within the year, and the center line is done, and a year later you go back, almost always you drop a foot. Now, we're putting 4 to 5 feet of dirt on top of sometimes 15 feet. So that's a lot of weight. You know, the soils over here are soft soil, so gravity continues to pull. But that's why center line survey is so important. We see what's going on, and we check out the low areas. When we're discussing what to do next, you know, you look at the southern part of the system, we have the levee higher, where there's more open water, the levee's higher, and it's just a good way to discuss. You notice we have the flood insurance line is this dotted line. This is how far above we are of the flood insurance line here. We have this in green because it's below what we say is our desired elevation. But you go over here, and this is why we did this work in near Clovelly, south of Clovelly, is that you see the insurance line? This is where the levee used to be. We're actually going below what the flood insurance. Now, we worry about flooding first, okay, so we do that first, but while we're doing that, we want to ensure it gives us the best chance to have the lowest flood insurance rates. So we do, that helps tell us too also where we're gonna do our work. And it's a great asset. But basically what's pink is what's above our desired elevation, and what's in green is what's below what we're shooting for. But then we also look at, again, the dotted line is the flood insurance line. So we're way above the flood insurance line in a lot of areas. So and that becomes very important, because that's the next thing we're talking about is flood insurance. The federal government is pushing real hard on getting a new flood insurance actually philosophy. And with the administration that's coming in, there was a lot of floodplain rules that were coming in with the Obama administration. And they were really, really hard. We were questioning them a lot, having to fight with them a lot, and they never were totally implemented. We got now the beginning of 4 years of where this is all kind of tied together, you know, and we need to work real hard at that, at least have some rules that say we're not gonna raise the flood insurance for people who didn't flood. You know, right now we're preferred risk, almost everybody inside the system is getting preferred risk rates. That all can change. You know, they're looking to try to make it more actuarially correct, because the federal treasury is having to pay most of these outside extra money that's collected. So it can get, I mean, I've heard that some places 4 times the price people pay right now. You know, if you pay 1,000, you're going to be paying 4,000 over the next few years if they go that route. It's a real problem, but we're going to continue trying to keep our levee line above the line of what they're using, and hope for best to do the best politics we can to at least keep it reasonable for all of us. Any questions?
What month is supposed to?
Well, they start on it, they can continue things
I
up
thought
there.
it was a date.
But they're pushing it, you know, they're pushing it right now. There's a certain schedule that you know you have to get these milestones to get it passed. But this is, right now you've got the researchers saying this is what it's gonna take to have a 0 at the end of the year, take out the federal treasury, take care of the flood insurance program. That's what they're starting with. You know, it's not gonna end up that way, but it could end up a way that could be bad for us, so we just need to pay close attention to it. But if it doesn't go through this year, they can always fight another year, and we just don't know what's gonna happen. So it's very important to inform our elected officials what we do, and hopefully get through this thing like we've done the last few years. The Golden Meadow boat launch ramp, again, we talked about that already, it's completed, and we're gonna see if the parish can find some funds to harden it again, put a blacktop on it. And then letters of support for the rules, Ted just got a lot of projects, trying to get some money from statewide flood control. Got some details on the statewide flood control that weren't great. I mean, there's about 1.2 billion supposed to come through it. But this first round, they're saying that each planning district in the state, and there's 8 planning districts that are composed of 5 to 6 parishes, they're only gonna get $5 million. And then separated among all those states, all those parishes, I'm sorry, And then after that, the state has another 60 million they could spend anywhere in the whole state. They're gonna do that for a year or two, and then that's gonna help, what they say, teach them how to spend the rest of the 800 million. Okay? And, you know, it just doesn't make sense to not have all of it out at the same time. It just tells me those people have no experience in doing big projects, yeah. And
And
so
you
they
imagine
want,
$5 billion for the district, it has 10 parishes. There's a total of $5 billion. Don't expect anything like that.
well, that's when you know the planners are in charge instead of the builders being in charge, okay? But anyway, we're making our effort to get the 5 million, we wanna razoo it all. But we're gonna make those attempts, okay? But again, unless you have any questions, that's all I have.
How about the date for the bus fair?
Okay, we'll go through, when the engineer was up, but you talk about the pump, he said?
Yeah, bumper fair.
Yeah, okay, well, if you look, there's some, quotes, some bids for the pump repair. The little bid was 32,000.
$32,040.
Associated bumper supply.
So we need to be able to okay, the little bid approved.
And who was the engineer on this? Okay, you've heard the recommendation of general manager to award the bid to Associated Pump and Supply for repairs to pump station number 5 at pump station number 5 at pump station number 4. In the amount of $32,040. Joe Wilson, moved by Roland, second by Keith. Any discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Okay.
This is gonna be their first time that they ever, work on a pump?
On this, yeah,
Us?
yeah. And so, now that we've had a lot of experience with people, we did a good job with people, we didn't do quite as good a job. We're gonna get with them early, we're gonna let them know exactly what we expect, and we're gonna be driving over there a lot, make sure it's done the way that, we expect it to be done.
Yeah.
That's not very convincing.
That's what I'm saying. That's too much of a price change. And we know the low ain't always the best, so I'm just saying.
Okay, well, we're awarded it.
There you go.
Engineering reports. CTRA, Dan, are you here, Dan?
Daniel, can you hear us?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, wow, unfortunately. Yeah, I don't have a whole lot, just the FYI, we do have the, Corps of Engineers annual inspection of South Lafourche, the Levee, coming up later this month on the 24th. Right now, we have it scheduled, the Corps sets that up, of course, but we do plan on attending as usual, so that's about all I have.
Okay, any questions of Dan? Okay, we'll move on to one from Corps of Engineers, project engineers, Joe.
Yes, on section E-South, grading and shaping lowland construction is the contractor. He is complete with the project, so we did approve the change order and a certificate of substantial completion last meeting. So we're in the lien period and there's no pay application for this project this month. All we owe them is retainage. On section E North, levee improvements, Wendell talked about this a little bit on the slideshow. Groundhog Shipyard's a contractor. He's hauling borrowed material in the levee section. He's hauled some onto the northern part of East South. He's hauled a bunch of material onto the southern part of East North. What we're proposing is a change order for $270,120 and 204 days of additional contract time. What we're gonna do is we're gonna take some of that borrowed material and we're gonna move it to the east and to the north of the Superior Dock. Some of that material is very silty and sandy. We ran into this problem on East South before, and the way we did that was we took some of the, we dug a keyway on the protected side berm. We filled the sandy material in the keyway, and the material from the keyway that's good we put on top of the levee. So we have good material on top of the levee. sandy material that's buried, okay? So what this change order is gonna do is gonna allow us, Drake and his people are gonna stack the material on the levee and dig the keyway, and Groundhog Shipyard is gonna dump into the keyway, okay? And we're gonna try to get as far as we can along the levee to the north, going towards the boat launch, where the boat launch road crosses. But that's the goal, and we think this is a good price. Groundhog Shipyard has worked really well with us, giving us good prices and doing good work for us, so we recommend this change order number 2.
Okay, this is a recommendation of our engineering firm to award contract change order number 2 for the amount of $270,120 and 204 days of additional contract time, Groundhog Shipyard. No wishes, gentlemen. Moved by Keith, second by Brett. Any discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries.
And they also submitted pay application number 10 in the amount of $33,997.19. That's for work last month, and that's in order. We recommend you pay that.
Okay, you've heard the recommendation to pay the Groundhog Shipyard pay application number 10 in the amount of $33,997.19. No wishes, gentlemen. Moved by Max, second by Keith. Any discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries.
On D South Levee Improvements, SBL's the contractor, he's complete with the project. We've given him substantial completion, and we have pay application number 12 in the amount of $4,688.25. We recommend you pay that.
And then the final payment on this.
No, sir, we're gonna have a retainage after that.
Okay, gentlemen, you've heard the recommendation to pay SBL Construction, is the application number 12, in the amount of $4,688.25. Second by, moved by Rowland, second by Rowland. Any discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no.
Joe,
Yes, sir.
the remainder of the material that's still,
Right.
we're advertising right now.
We brought a set of plans to Mary, and we're getting that to Mr. McGinnis at the CPRA to review it, and then we'll go out for bids. Once he
That's the
approves.
remainder of that job, and so there's still some material involved now that we need to get out.
On the D South grading and shaping, SBL is also the contractor. He's also complete with this project. This is a sister project to the other project. So we gave him substantial completion. And we have pay application number 8 in the amount of $2,070 even.
You've heard the recommendation on this pay SBL contract, is pay application number 8, in the amount of $2,070. No wishes. Moved by Brian, second by Keith. Any discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no.
You have to pay, you have to approve the certificate of substantial completion?
We did in the
Yes,
past,
yes.
yeah.
Did you do that in the last one also?
No, we didn't do it.
Didn't do it?
Want to do both of them together?
Yes.
Yeah.
That would be
There's
great.
no recommendation that we accept the
Substantial completion.
certificate of substantial completion. Moved by engineering firm, moved by Rowland, second by Keith. Any discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries.
And section F levee improvements, that's from the pump station number 7 at Delta Farms Road. It goes down to the Cloverleaf levee. Onshore Materials, a contractor. He was given a notice to proceed on February 1st. He's been hauling borrowed material on the levee section. Wendell showed a few pictures of that in the slideshow. He just started the job, but he is making decent progress when the weather's good. Pay application number 1 is on the agenda in the amount of $83,617.37, and we do recommend you approve
And
that.
what is the total amount of that contract? You don't know how much it Okay, no problem. I just want to bring it out. It's okay.
Thank you.
2.1 million?
It's a little bit over 2 million.
2 million, yeah, in that range.
Okay.
That's good, the range is good.
I can get you a number, I promise.
Promise I get that.
You've heard the recommendation of our engineers to pay onshore materials. The application number one is amount of $83,617.37. Your wish. Moved by Mitch, second by Monty. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries.
And the Meadow Pump Station Floodwall, the sea level is the contractor. He is out there pretty much welding right now. He's got a couple of weeks of welding to do. They're gonna start painting on the end so they can bring in material and tie in where the wall meets the levee, and then they're gonna bring in some mats on top of that. All of that should be happening in the next month. He's making good progress on this, so we'll be finished before hurricane season. He has a pay application number 5 in the amount of $187,094.34. I recommend you approve that.
Okay, you've heard the recommendation of engineers to pay sea level construction. Number 5, an amount of $187,094.34. No issue. Moved by Brian, second by Britt. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries.
And the maintenance of South Floodgate, so Circle's the contractor. The gates are painted and they're getting ready to load them on a barge. They're gonna be down later this week installing the shivs and getting everything over here ready to accept the gates. And they're gonna ship the gates later this week. The plan is for a week from today to start installing the gates back in place. So they are a little bit behind schedule, but that was primarily because of the freeze. During the freeze time, they couldn't hang, they couldn't do anything for a while. But they were, before all of that, they were ahead of schedule actually.
So basically, we're gonna have to go to a shutdown schedule Monday and Tuesday.
We'll have to let you know for sure in the next day or two, but it looks like early part of next week.
I think we have shut down 2 days, right, when we took them
Yeah,
out?
that's right.
And we should expect the same thing, bring it back in after 2 days.
Okay, you've heard the recommendation of engineers to pay Circle LLC, they have application number 3 in the amount of $137,360.78. Your wishes, gentlemen. Moved by Max, seconded by Mitch. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. Any questions of Joe?
Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. Okay, next we've got GIS engineers. John or Laura? Laura.
All right, so. All right, so the first update I have for you is A East Bayou Water Retention. The plans and specs are complete for this. The outstanding items that we're waiting on, we're still waiting on core permit. We are continuing, I believe we had plus or minus 10 pipeline crossings or encroachments that we're having to address. So we're working with those companies to get the crossing agreements that we need. I think we're about halfway there. And then we developed the servitude requirements. We just need to get those signed off, executed. So we'll coordinate on that. But other than that, once we get all that addressed, like I said, ready to go to bids. Next project, D-South Floodwall improvements. I guess just a reminder on what we did with that one. We split that into 2 phases. Phase 1 is to do the outer A-frame or brace wall section, raising that to elevation 18. Last month we recommended award to Sea Level Construction, and tomorrow we are going to have the pre-construction conference here. Then phase 2, we addressed CPRA comments, and we're waiting on their review to give us permission to advertise that one for bids. Going to Meadow boat launch ramp, you saw that in Wendell's slideshow. That is complete. Again, we're in the clear lien period waiting on that, which should be complete March 15th, and at that point they should issue their request for release of retainage, and we can close that project out. The next one, D North ramp. CPRA had done an initial review of that. They had some requests for geotech, so Eustace did some investigation, provided their report to us mid-February. We went through that, made some design tweaks, and submitted all that back to CPRA last week, so we should hear back from them hopefully in the next week or so. I'll touch base with that. All right, then ran by you. Do what?
I said, no money yet, but it's
No
coming.
money yet, it's coming.
For the last one.
I was gonna start with that.
You weren't at our last meeting.
You gotta balance it out.
That's why John did stuff.
All right, so Grand Bayou Floodwall, we had some great pictures up there. So the floodwall and receiving structure, they removed the jacket false work, and then you can see in the photos, they finished installing, they had already done all the plumb piles on both sides, the east and the west. They finished up the batter piles, and so now they're doing the plate connections. Let's see, the surcharge, so they've got one set of flowing batters on each side, the east and west, that they have to wait until that surcharge period, which should be 6 months. Eustace is monitoring that for us, and then they can drive those piles. So, first item I have is pay request number 12. That's for the 30-inch batter piles that they installed in the timber work. They started the guide walls and the fender system. And so their sea levels request is in the amount of $475,556.03, and there's a recommendation that you approve.
Okay, you've heard the recommendation of engineers to pay sea level. Your request number 12, the amount of $475,556.03. Your wishes. Moved by Keith, second by Roland. Any discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no.
All right, the next is pay request number 13. So this is for barge repairs. This was for the emergency barge, the CBC in Miami. This is the last of the barge repair costs, and that will be FEMA reimbursed. And we also received the release letter that they're good with, Canal Barge is good with all the repairs that have been made. So we recommend a payment in the amount of $46,000.
Okay, you've heard the recommendation of engineers to pay sea level request number 13, the amount of $46,000. Your wishes, gentlemen. Moved by Max, second by Mitch. Any discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no.
All right, next, change order number 7. So we are being good stewards of the lease that we are utilizing for this project. And so change order number 7 is we requested a price for 1,000 tons of limestone to do repairs and maintenance at the laydown yard and the access road on Tomplay Lane. And so that is in the amount of $55,870. It does say Hurricane Delta on here, but all the paperwork's been changed, and that will be filed as a Zeta reimbursement.
Okay, you're talking to also sea level.
Yes.
Change order number 7, amount of $55,870. Recommended by engineers. Your wishes, moved by Marty, second by Keith. Any discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries.
Yeah, and that road has been beat up too, so we're not gonna be good stewards until we get the limestone in.
We're in the process of.
Yeah.
Looks good.
All right, the barge gate, so a lot of welding has taken place, but you've got the flood wall on there, the outer shell, that's been welded, exterior and interior. The flow-through pipes are in, minus the flat gates that are going to be installed on the outside. They've been working on pivot arm welding. The ballast piping inside the barge is almost complete. And they are installing platforms. So the winch platforms, the HPU platform, they put the control house on to fit it and then took it out to paint and install all the interior work on that. that CPRA did make a site visit last week. And so all is well there. But yes, as far as timing, still on schedule for, they should be launching it, so I'll make sure that I keep you guys in the loop in case y'all want to be there, in mid to late June. So it will be on site should you need it in an emergency. So for, this is also for sea level, but it's on the barge gate contract. I've got recommending pay request number 5 in the amount of $493,489.29.
You read the recommendation on engineers to pay sea level, pay request number 5 in the amount of $493,489.26. Shall wish you gentlemen, moved by Keith, seconded by Rowland. Any discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no.
And then the only other thing, no money involved yet, we sent out an RFQ package last week for, Wenzel had pointed out the emergency bypass that we had dug post Delta and then put it back for Zeta, dug it out again. So we did send out a package for quotes last week. We're accepting those on Wednesday, and then once we take a look at those, we'll get back to you with a recommendation. That's all I have.
Okay, any questions of Laura?
Thank you.
Okay, next we've got Angela Patel.
All right, on the B North and B South Levee Improvement Project, this is from Base on Pump Station to Meadow Park. That project is winding down. We think the contractor has about a month of work left, so they'll be out of that area before hurricane season. Things are going well. We don't have any pay requests from them this month. They just really started back up after a couple of months of shutdown.
And just to remind everybody, that's the board, they have to cut a little bit of the levee to get it out, from station number 1. And so Neil and I were talking about it, had this last bit of work to do, they've been sitting there for months, so we want to make sure, finish the work, get out, so there's no minor questions.
They're cutting in the same spot or?
Pretty much the same spot to get out, yeah.
Situation.
On the Seaside Levee Improvement, they contracted Groundhog Shipyard. They're continuing with construction. This is from the Base on Pump Station going north to Apache Farm, and we're raising that levee from an elevation of about 14 up to an elevation of 18. Today we're recommending approval of their pay request number 10 in the amount of $12,946.07.
Okay, you read the recommendation of engineers to pay Groundhog Shipyard, pay request number 10 in the amount of $12,946.07. Moved by Keith Rowland, second by Keith. Any discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Okay.
All right, next project is Morganza to the Gulf Reach L. This is from the west side of Apache Farm, going all the way out to Grand Bayou to close off that last gap in the Morganza system out in this area. That project is currently being reviewed by the CPRA. We have been having some good dialogue back and forth with James McManus at CPRA. He's got some additional information that he's requested, so we're working on getting that to him. We're hopeful that in the next few weeks we'll have a thumbs up from CPRA to begin advertising for bid. But I would like to get approval from the board today to get advertisement started once we have approval from the CPRA as well as the green light from Mitch with Delta Post.
Recommendation of engineers to get the approval for CPRA. No issue, gentlemen. Move on back, second by Monty. Any discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no.
All right, and the last project is LaRose Floodwall height improvements. This is from the corner of the Intercoastal and by Lafourche near Holy Rosary Church, going all the way out to the overpass. There's a section of wall that the Corps of Engineers had built a few years back. It's at an elevation of about +10. We want to raise that to an elevation of 13.5 with some additional structural members. That project was awarded last month to sea level construction for $876,600, pending approval from the state of Louisiana. We have since then received approval from facility planning with the state, so contract documents are being signed at this time. And we have a pre-construction meeting scheduled for next Thursday at 2 o'clock at our office.
Okay. Neil,
Yes, sir.
come after this project is finished, but we're talking about putting protectors along the intercoastal canal. Has all that stuff, all that material been moved to our,
No, not yet. In fact, that's why I wanted to make sure that the road got approved before we started doing that. Because we had some discussions with the landowner about taking that out and make sure that we didn't do more damage than it already been done. But we hadn't started it yet. We're waiting to get an agreement back from North Lafourche and Terrible before we can start moving. We have a contractor lined up and he's gonna truck it out 2 pipes at a time and within a couple of days get it in place. We're also looking at doing the protection of the wall, but also talking to Joe, that also could be an important part of making the floodgate or the lock, turn the floodgate into a lock. So we're gonna choose what's the best place to use that, because we looked at it originally to help protect the wall, but if we can save a ton of money and move that lock project faster, we might decide to do that. That's why I want to have a special meeting to discuss those types of issues.
And I think for now, the plan is to move that material to the old David Industries property between the old and new flood wall in Delta Form that the Levy District owns now. So that'll be a good staging area for whichever project wants to utilize that and probably do some touch-up coating to that material there.
oh, shut that down.
So when you said you were gonna truck it or we're gonna barge it?
Truck it. Oh, yeah, before it keeps
Talked
waiting.
about it last
And
time.
we had to, yeah, we're looking at it, of course, and then we got some quotes and figured out, you have to put it on a barge, move it all the way down,
Right.
ran by you down, south of Golden Meadow, get in by Lafourche, bring it all the way back up to the road, that, loading it up on some trucks and traveling by what, maybe 4 miles at the
Yeah.
most. That before it was cheaper to do that.
Okay, any questions, Neil? Thank you, Neil.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on to, Delta Coast Consultants. Mitch, no one from Mitch is here. Okay, All South Consulting Engineers.
All right, we have 3 different contracts going on the Reach Case section of the Morganza Levee. The first one is emergency rehabilitation of Reach Case Spall Material Phase 1. This was the project that Lowland had performed. That project is completing in the clear lien period. And just to wrap up the paperwork on that one, we have a balance and change order before you, which is change order number 4, which is a request for 50 additional contract days and balancing of quantities, which results in a deduct of $18,000 on the project.
Okay, what will be the final payment on this? You have that in?
It should be getting close to that 45 days. We hadn't received the clear lien certificate and a request of retainage at this time. So probably the next meeting. It would
Okay, gentlemen, your wishes on the engineers have requested change orders number 4, the addition of 50 contract days and also reduction of 18,000. Your wishes, moved by Keith, seconded by Monty. All in favor, signify, no, excuse me. We're getting close to the end, guys. Your wishes, gentlemen. No, moved it, seconded, I'm not that far along. So I think we need to vote on this. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. I apologize, I get a little confused after a while.
Second contract is emergency rehabilitation of Reach Case Spall Material, Phase 2. This is the contract for the daily rate for sea level to perform the shaping. You've seen some of the pictures in the slideshow from window. Sea level continues work on this project. It's about a 23,000 foot long section, and they made one pass through it and did all the clearing and basic shaping. 17,000 feet of the protected side berm is complete, and about 11,000 feet, so about half of the levee is completely shaped at this time. The contractors moved material along the length of the levee to create some additional elevation. We're chasing at least a minimum of an 8-foot elevation on this section. And Before you is pay application number 5 from Sea Level in the amount of $196,000, $196,037.55, and we recommend this pay out be.
Okay, you've written a recommendation to, of the engineers to pay application number 5 in the amount of $196,037.55. Your wish, gentlemen. Moved by Brian, seconded by Mitch. Any discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no.
We've been pleased with the progress of Sea Level, and the original intent of this contract was to shape the dredge material that we had put up years ago, but now we have the 55,000 cubic yard FEMA project that's currently delivering material to the levee. So we'd like to continue utilizing some of that equipment, and we have a change order number 3 for 30 additional days worth of equipment, and also for those portions of the levee that are complete, we got a price from them based upon the acre to seed and fertilize the completed sections of the levee. So the change order request for change order number 3 is a total amount of $272,559.20.
Okay, you've heard the recommendation of engineers to pay order, the application number 3 of Act 30 days in the amount of the total amount of $476,431.65. Your wish, gentlemen. Seconded by Roland.
That's a change order, not an actual request.
$272,599.20. Okay, your gentlemen, your wish. Moved by Max, seconded by Brett. Any discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries.
Third contract we have on Reach K is for the supply and deliver material lost to Reach K during Hurricane Barry. Sea Level has hauled approximately 27,600 cubic yards of the 55,000 cubic yard contract. Now, of the 55,000, we had it broken down with 20,000 would come from the south via truck, and 35,000 would come from the north via barge. So of the trucked in material on the south, 7,800 cubic yards of the 20,000 has been delivered to the site, and of the barge material, 19,800 cubic yards has been put in place. That's the status of where they had. They started to get a good rhythm and picking up some pace on that. And we have a pay application from Sea Level, pay application number 3, in the amount of $476,431.65, and we recommend this pay.
Okay, we've heard a recommendation of engineers to pay Sea Level 3, pay application number 3 in the amount of $476,431.65. Moved by Kate, second by Roland. Any discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries.
Also on this project, we realized that beyond the 55,000 cubic yards that's being bought into site and the material where we have some surplus and we're trucking along the length, we're coming up a few yards short of being able to really have a continuous 8-foot elevation from all the way from Pointe-Chan to the Grand Bayou Floodgate. Our quantity calculations come up with if we can get another 12,000 cubic yards, so we can have this 8-foot of protection in place for this hurricane season. So we have a change order request number 1 for additional 12,000 cubic yards, and that's going to be on the barge section of this project, and the amount is $372,000. And we recommend this
Okay,
change.
you've heard the recommendation of engineers to pay change order number 1 in the amount of $372,000. Moved by Max, second by Mitch. Any discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries.
Thank you, guys. That concludes my
Okay,
report.
anything else? Any questions?
Sit down, guys, one more money.
It's a pass-through, guys. Okay, legal permits and rights of way, Mitch.
No permits this month.
Board attorney is not here, so we have no report from him. Finance committee, Monty.
Okay, Mr. President, Finance Committee met prior to this meeting, we reviewed all invoices, and we recommend they be paid as presented.
You've heard a recommendation and a motion by the chairman of the board, finance committee. of the finance committee to approve all invoices that need to be paid. Need a second on that? Mitch? Excuse me, Brian? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. Okay, personnel committee.
Personnel committee, what's up for discussion is changes to the personnel policy, updates to the drug policies, and also the COVID-19 policy. You'll have a copy in your packet to review. Personnel committee recommends that these changes be set into motion.
Okay, you've heard a recommendation to approve, asking the board to approve the changes to the personnel manual for COVID and for drug policy. Your wish to move by Roland, second by Keith. Any discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. Any old business? Any old business? Any new business?
Well, just that, Representative Woodward had talked and to us about having our data information on water elevations on the Terrebonne Levee site that has all their floodgate information. So I brought in the people with Terrebonne to come and meet with our people and see if we can make a connection with our data that can go up on their website. So we did have that meeting, we'll inform you as we go forward.
Okay. Any other discussion on the old new business? I need a motion, gentlemen. Motion by Max, second by Keith. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. First meeting?
I wanted to show you.